Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. This is Broke Gamer, and for this video, as you saw in the title, I'll be covering 10 of my favorite indie games for the PlayStation 4. So obviously the indie game, or independent game rather. Small budget, small team, generally very niche, maybe in the approach or the approach to gaming. However, that said, it's presented with a lot of kind of unique quirks, a lot of fun elements that actually break the mold and actually offer a very awesome and unique experience versus your AAA releases, which are very lackluster, especially in the past couple of years. So if you find that you've been burnt out by a lot of the corporate slop, I encourage you to play a couple of these games. They might jumpstart your perspective on indie games or even playing games by smaller studios. That said, I just completed Stray, also indie game, a lot of fun, as well as Thymesia, which is inspired by Dark Souls. Very fun, and actually a lot of the themes and everything remind the play a lot of the Victorian sort of Bloodborne sort of imagery and like themes, the old English like disease-ridden period of those days, close to the Renaissance era. Highly recommended a title, and both of these I've actually borrowed from my younger brother. So if you're watching this, you'd better come get it, otherwise this will be permanently added to the collection. So these top 10 PS4 games I'll be presenting. Some of my favorites. Truly hope that you enjoy. Okay, let's change things up a little bit. I've also changed the mat we're presenting on. So if there are any kids watching this, don't do drugs, unlike these magicians that you see right here. First up, Hollow Knight. One of the games that actually popularized the indie gaming genre, or sphere rather, within the realm of gaming. So playing this was an awesome experience, inspired by Dark Souls. It's a 2D side scroller, and it also comes with a bunch of extras. And one recurring theme you'll see going into this video is that a lot of these games are packed with extras, like the reversible cover. There's just the slip in the manual, and the instruction manual itself that offers itself like a art guide. Introducing the items, the characters, and so forth. Truly unique. You won't find this in many of the modern AAA releases. I think this is the map. Yeah. So that is Hollow Nest, or the map of Hollow Knight, where you progress through the game. So all in all, a very awesome package, and that's also the thing about these indie games. They're made with a lot of heart and soul, unlike your corporate slop, and I highly advocate for you as a player to try these. You might find that you like these a lot better than some of the big games of today, but I'll leave that decision ultimately up to you. Next up, I have a gaming compilation, that is Journey Collector's Edition, featuring Flow, Journey, and Flower, all developed by that game company and then published by Sony. This was also released physically for PlayStation 3. A highly recommended addition to the collection. One of the things that I also wanted to say was I actually like these kind of games. I call them games as an art form. So basically, even if it's like a bit of a walking simulator, if they tell a very awesome story based on the premise, the imagery, and lore that's presented, it makes for a wonderful gaming experience, well, at least in my opinion. So even games like your Spirit of the North, or even some of the others that I'll feature on this list, you'll see. Nonetheless, Journey Collector's Edition is worth adding to the collection, especially if these games are right up your alley. Speaking of games as an art form, Rime for PlayStation 4 by Tequila Works. This is one of my most favorite games of all time. So what drew me to the game was the original soundtrack, as well as the graphical art style. So as I stated earlier, a lot of the lore and imagery and the ability to tell a story with very, very few words are what make these kind of games truly epic, in my opinion. I highly recommend it playthrough, especially if you're into these kind of games, and even more so if you're a parent like me. But let me not dwell too much or give some of the spoilers away. This is one game you really have to play. Next up, I have a very fun and quirky title, that is Shovel Knight by Yacht Club Games. So what drew me to the game while I was playing was the art style, the 8-bit music that was very, very catchy. The game features an instruction booklet, which also acts as a bit of an art book. And you see, that's the thing with these indie games. So obviously you won't find the same with a lot of the AAA releases. And this brings me back to the days of the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 with its instruction manuals. It also came with the tidbits and the extras, and also just the kind of the love that the developer had for their project, or even for the players that were actually ultimately buying their video game to play. A very coveted and recommended title from myself. I highly recommend you pick this up, especially if it's in a physical form. You can also get this for Nintendo Switch, but it was also equally released on Steam, and I think also for Xbox. I could be mistaken, on its digital store. Next up is a personal favorite of mine, and that is Yoku's Island Express by Villa Gorilla. So I think this was their first game that they've released, and it basically is in short form a pinball RPG. So obviously you play as Yoku, you actually traverse the island, you're a postman, and your goal is basically to free the island and its inhabitants from evil. But that said, you're actually meeting a lot of the occupants of the land, getting to know them, and even just traversing a pinball style across the island. A very fun and unique game. I will put up a bit of gameplay, as you can see right here. I highly recommended a title and awesome addition to the collection. This truly blew me away. I couldn't put my controller down whatsoever. Next up, I feature The Sojourn by Iceberg Interactive. So if you're familiar with games like The Witness and Myst, it's that sort of game where there's a lot of puzzles, riddles and challenges that you need to complete in order to progress. So don't let the beautiful art style fool you. This is a bit of a challenging game, but I highly advocate for it if you've got the patience, the wit, as well as the aptitude to not lose your cool too easily. It does make for a very awesome adventure. It features a coming of age sort of story in its narrative, but let me not spoil it any further. It does sound like something you tackle, I highly advocate for you to add this to the collection. Next up, I have a very awesome but very sad game to present. That is Concrete Genie. So obviously, if you're familiar with Pixel Opus, they're now closed their doors, which is a bit of a shame. And I do feel that this is one title that will live on through the ages as a future classic. A very awesome and compelling adventure. You play as the boy that can paint the walls and bring the characters or the monsters to life that help him on his journey. One of my favorite PlayStation exclusives, one that I highly advocate that you pick up and add to the collection. Okay, for the next game I present to you Wargroove Deluxe Edition. A very cheap pickup that was that I picked up on a whim through one of the online gaming stores that I frequent. So what drew me was to the title was obviously the graphical art style. It reminded me a lot of Advanced Wars that was on the Game Boy and the Nintendo DS. Game features obviously a reversible cover, as well as the strategy manual. Like I said, it acts as a bit of an art book. So I had a lot of fun with this one. Very awesome kind of tactical / strategy game. One that I highly advocate for that you add to the collection. Also came with some stickers, a map, and then a soundtrack, a digital soundtrack that you can download. But I haven't downloaded yet, so I'm not going to be sharing the code with you. That said, you can always download this track that I think is online on the one website. Next up, a game I've actually featured quite a bit on this channel, that is Blue Fire. Very awesome kind of action platforming RPG experience. So also, what drew me to the game was the art style. A very fun and fluid game. So I had a lot of fun with this. Very kind of mature and imagery presented in its narrative. I actually like that cover a lot. And then the art book, which also acts as a bit of a background behind the studio, the story, as well as a bit of the lore of the video game. I think there was a DLC released for the game. I think it is available on the PlayStation Store. I just need to pick it up. This was one of the few games that I actually bothered completing 100% and collecting the Platinum Trophy. Highly recommended addition to the collection. Number 1, and my most favorite indie game of all time, and that is Abzu by Giant Squid. So I've been searching for a physical copy for 4 years now. I'm finally happy to have found one about 2 weeks ago. What drew me to the game was obviously its very unique and graphical art style, a deep sea adventure. It is like anything I've ever played before, and one that blew me away in its presentation. I highly advocate for you to play it. If you're unable to find a physical copy, I think even a digital one would be recommended. It's not too long of a game, but it's also a very fun one at that. If you want to turn your television or your monitor into an aquarium, this is the best way to do it. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. So obviously this stack of games made with a lot of love and passion, as opposed to a lot of the AAA releases we see nowadays. But that said, these games also have a bit of a kind of an issue, if you will. So long after these games are developed by these small studios, because they were made on a very small budget, a lot of them don't have the kind of marketing push or marketing budget to actually get their game out to the masses, and often die or succeed by their word of mouth. So I think us as gamers have a bit of a responsibility in even just getting the word out on some of these awesome experiences that we have right here. I do feel that by getting a lot of these games out, we truly are pushing the gaming industry in a better direction. Well, at least in my opinion. Not sure about you. I also have other PlayStation 5 games that are indie games I'm eager to try out, like Yonder, which is a little bit like a big PC box, but it came with a lot of extras. I will show this one day on camera, as well as Cult of the Lamb. I wouldn't have known about this game had it not been for the very positive word of mouth. And obviously finding it in the retro gaming store that I frequent, and seeing the kind of awesome graphical cover really intrigued me, and I was very eager to pick this up. So I truly hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see what other topics I'll be covering in the near future. May you enjoy your games, and I wish you all the best.